Was there any time you were getting frustrated there, like having to sort of wait, like no one? I mean, by that time, well, Spencer's pretty much got all 3 belts, and that fight's just not happening.
Yeah, I've been, I mean, in a situation where I was frustrated a lot in that situation. You know, given that I was, calling for the fight and everybody was saying that I was ducking them and that I should have signed with PBC and you know, I'm only trying to fight him because he had a car accident. So I had to hear so many negative
Yeah,
uh, comments on why I want to fight him, and he's big fish, and he's the A side, and he's this and he's that, and I just had to hear all that for 5 years, really.
yeah,
So it was a bit frustrating because the people that's on the outside looking in, they didn't have an idea what was really going on,
mm.
but they was just, making up stuff, and the media and other people that believed them was just going with it.
Yeah.
So once we got the fight over with, it was just like a sign of relief.
And before we go into that fight, obviously, it was a fight that you didn't really want to happen because you were friends, Sean Porter, and I think you said to me that he sort of called you up and wanted to make the fight, and I guess with not a lot of the Spence fight not sort of coming at that time to fruition. He said, "Okay, let's get it on," and you finish up fighting Showtime Sean Porter.
hmm Yeah, Sean was was what I mean, a fight that I didn't want at the time because I was in negotiations with Pacquiao. One of the times he called me, and another time I was, focusing on a different fight. And the next time he called, I was like, "Hey, man, you know, you just fought, you know, uh, Spence not too long ago. Now you calling me out because before Spence, he never asked me to fight him
Yeah,
in anything.
yeah,
When he was champion, he never did. So I listening to the media and the media uh putting out there, oh, we want to see Crawford and Porter fight. We want to see how Crawford do with him since Porter almost beat Spence.
mm,
So it was like they just trying to gauge me, and I'm somewhat happy that it happened the way it did right now, when looking back at it. But that was something that didn't need to happen at the time, but we both got paid for it, and that's what we in this sport for.
yeah. And you put the exclamation point on it, like by devastating to win. Like, I mean, was the advice saying that you were down? Like, I mean, you were up there, wasn't you? You wasn't down on the
Yeah, I was
score.
a
What do you think that was need to happen like that?
I don't know, I just think, they see me coasting and
Yeah,
then, you got the commentators, they they just saying things that, you know, basing their own opinion on the fight.
yeah,
And, people listen to the commentators and the commentators is saying it's close and things like that. And, I'm getting word, hey, you down and this and that and this. I'm like, I'm down. Like how? Like I'm not even getting ahead. Like, I know I'm in control of this fight. And at that time I just had to put my pedal to the metal a little
yep.
bit and step to him.
Go out there, and that's a good thing about you. I mean, you can switch it up and just go straight out there and and get it over and done with. So I mean, so finally, after all the talk and as I said, going through managers and all that, finally, you and Errol talk face to face or on the phone and work out the deal.
Yeah. Um, we was definitely on the phone and we was trying to figure it out. But at the time, um, I started talking to Al and trying to get the fight done, and he just, you know, threw me a deal that I wasn't gonna take.
Yeah,
I knew I was worth more, and I just couldn't sell myself uh short or cut myself dry.
yeah,
So they thought I didn't have any options and things like that. So I just, I said, hey, listen, y'all don't want to, give me the numbers that I'm asking for, then cool. I just left and went to go fight Avenesian,
That's right. Yeah.
Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And once that fight was over, he still hadn't got anybody, you know what I mean, lined up or anything. So we would have just been sitting there.
Yeah.
So me fighting played a big factor into how we got that fight made because I showed that I was wasn't gonna wait on them, and I had options. I had money behind me, and so forth. So we get the fight done, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So they called him the big fish, hence why you come out with the net.
Yeah.
You caught that big fish, and look, it was one of the most anticipated fights in history. I mean, I had my popcorn ready. It was Sunday here because Saturday night in America, and I was pumped. You know what I mean? Because I respect both you guys. I mean, obviously, before I even got to know you, but I always was a Bud Crawford fan. I just like your style, I tell everyone, that you got that Kobe Bryant, you got the Mamba mentality, and the greatest switch hitter since Marvin Hagler, and but like it was on paper, it was two great champs, undefeated, all the belts, pound for pound on the line. It was just everything, and I've never seen a 50-50 fight ever be so one-sided. I mean, you really had his number, and tell me, like, the focus and how the mentality going into that, and on the biggest night of your life, really.
Well, that's a fight that I've been wanting for 5 years. It was long overdue, and when you believe in yourself and when you got something to prove, and you got all these doubters doubting you, you just go into a place that you never been before, and you just try to isolate your mind and your thoughts to just win. Everything that I thought about was just win at all costs. you know um can't lose this fight, won't lose this fight. So that's the mindset that I carry the whole training camp, the whole press conference, the whole everything,
Yeah.
fight, everything. I just want him to know that I was gonna be in charge and I wasn't backing down to him or anything.
What I loved about was just the respect level at the weigh-in, at the press conference. You're both. I'm not into the trash talk, and I'm not into the UFC stuff and fighters saying about family members and all that stuff. Two great champions were so respectful, and I loved it at the end after the weigh-in, the last face-off. He's both sort of there. I think he shook hands, and I think he said, "We did it," or "We done," something like that. And I just was, I thought, this is what it's about, man.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it? Like, really, it's what boxing's about. Yeah, like, and I love that. And how did it feel to be on the equivalent? Because I put that fight, and I'd done a post. I remember I said this. I told everyone, this is Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns at 147. This is De La Hoya at Trinidad at 147. This is Woody Chavez. This is the fight of this generation. Crawford Spence. How did it feel to be on that level, like with them? It meaning as much as then go, this was the super fight of this era.
It felt good. It lets me know that I was meant to be on that level.
You're doing something right.
I was supposed to been, there a long time ago. I just felt like my career was stagnant.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the best promotion behind me.
Yeah.
I felt as if, a lot of things could have been done better with my career.
Yeah.
I felt like I could have done things better in my career, but everything happened for a reason. The right time was the right time, and I don't wish I could change anything because that's my story.
Yeah, of course.
When you look back at it, the things that I overcame and the places that I came from is gonna lead me into where I am today. I'm passionate about my craft and my sport, and I'm gonna be remembered for a long time.
100%. I mean, but I remember that fight though. I mean, after the first knockdown, I remember Spence coming back throwing a big left hand bomb straight away. Like, he was, look, don't say so philosophical, but he was trying. He was trying to somehow change the tide of that fight, and he let some big shots go. And I remember he buzzed you with a big overhand left, and he took it straight away and come back like it was. There was nothing to stop you that night. I mean, Spence was there, but nothing was stopping Bud.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, what an accident!"
I don't want to hear that. That's what I'm saying.
I say, man, listen,
he hit you with a bomb. I think he was there.
It ain't just that he hit me with a bomb. Like that dude, kept getting up. So he was in the best shape of his life. He was working. He was working like, when you see him fight, he didn't fight no different. You can see a change in his style. You see a dominance from me because the style that I pose, it just matched up with him. I don't think any other regular person could have did what I did to him at the time. Styles just make fights, and that was just my time and my moment that night.
100%. You mentioned about your first undisputed, so now you're a two-time undisputed, 2 divisions, like one of only, I think, 3 men currently, Usyk and Inoue, but you were the first, I believe, and unbelievable. So 2-time undisputed. There was talks of a rematch, etc., but that didn't come to fruition. I don't think there was a point. Myself personally, I think that nothing was going to change in that case. You go up to 154 and you take on one of the main guys, Madrimov. Great amateur career, won a world title early in his career, and the first Riyadh season by Your Excellency Turki Al-Shai in America, and he was the main man. Yeah,
he was ranked number 1 in the division.
Yep.
Initially, I tried to get the Tim Tszyu fight.
Yeah.
It would have been a bigger fight.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah,
given the name, and he undefeated and beat some marquee names in the division. He chose to go the Fundora route, so I had to go a different route, and we got the Israel fight, and that's how we became a 4-weight world champion.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting fight. I mean, like we said yesterday, there was a lot of feinting. He was doing three feints. Like, he's a very good fighter. I have full respect to him. But you really closed the show with that and showed the level that you're at. And there we go again. So we're champion on 4 divisions now, bud.
Yeah. Looking to be 5.
So when we met in Hamburg, Germany, I mean, we did briefly meet at Haney Loma, but I don't expect to remember you there. But we spent some time together in Hamburg and become friends and hanged out with our Mark. Shout out to our man Mark Habibi, Fight Book, one of the greatest people I know. And we connected, and you said, I want Canelo. That's all I want, and Turkey's going to make it happen for me. And then finally, it happens, gets announced. Recently we all seen it. After his win against Skull, you hop in there, and the date's set for September 12th. Now, Canelo has been one of the best fighters of recent eras. Take nothing away from the guy. He's been Mayweather, Cotto, Golovkin 3 times, fought them all. And he's a super middleweight. He's undisputed champion. Now, everyone's just talking about this weight going up and all this stuff. Really, it's 3 divisions, not 2. Like you said, you only had the one fight at 154. How much do you think? I mean, you definitely prove it on wrong, but how much do you think people just don't really know what you're made out of to doubt you again? I mean, I know it's an uphill battle now because he's Canelo, but mate, he's Canelo, but he's fighting Bud. He's got to prepare for you.
That's how I feel. it's gonna be a tough challenge on both sides. You know, he's gonna have some challenges. I'm gonna have some challenges. But that's what great fights is about. You know, who overcome them challenges and who capitalize on the other fighter mistakes and who got the best game plan. You know, who can adapt. So I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be prepared, and I'm excited. And I'm looking forward to it.